everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for your patience while we get started. We'll wait for a few more people to join in. I know that we've got quite a list today, so want to make sure that we give people time to join in and make sure that you can hear me okay. Raise your hand in your participant panel there if you can hear me okay. Oh, great. That's awesome. And if you have any trouble hearing me at any time throughout the presentation, definitely let me know, ping me in the chat so I can check out and see what's going on. Flying solo today, so I'm going to be your presenter, your video tech, and all sorts of stuff. So bear with me. And then also want to make sure, can everybody see my slides okay? Raise your hand if you can. Great, great. Well, just a few bits of housekeeping before we get too far into the session today. So this is a recorded webinar, so we're going to record all of this. Everyone will be muted, but don't worry if you have something you want to share, which I hope you do, or if you have any questions or you want to see something more, definitely put that in the chat box or try to put it in the Q&A section, and I'll try to monitor as we go. Definitely, I'll take a look at the end and we'll try to address everything at that point. But definitely, I know how meeting planner community is. We love to share our stories, share the good, the bad, the ugly. So please definitely feel free to do that in the chat section. Along with the recording, what we're going to send out to you is a copy of the presentation and all the links that are embedded into it as well. Today, we're going to be sharing with you a lot of links, some to Zoom and some to some of my favorite YouTube videos that I found when I was researching, wanting to put some materials together for you guys. So hopefully that will be a useful tool for you later and a good resource for you. Okay, well, let's get started here. My name is Vinnu Deshetty. I'm the event tech here at EVA. We do virtual conferences, trade shows, and registrations for associations and nonprofits. Now, I've been in the industry for over 25 years as a meeting planner and working mostly with associations and nonprofits. So I've seen it all, probably like a lot of you out there as well. And one of the things that through my journey to get where I am today is I've learned great things, not only from reading and tools and resources I've seen like on MPI and PCMA, it's also just chatting with my fellow meeting planners, getting to know them, seeing what they're struggling with, what tips they have to share with. It's been an invaluable source. And that is one of the reasons why I like doing these webinars is sharing what I've learned along the way, hopefully pick up a few new tips and tricks from you guys as well. So thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate it. Okay, so today's session, we're going to talk about all things Zoom. Well, maybe not all things Zoom. We're going to talk about the different Zoom offerings that are out there. I don't know about you guys, but every day there seems to be something new in the event tech world, right? And we got to keep up with it, whether that's keeping update with the release notes that the different platforms are putting out, chats that are in community forums, trial and error. I know that before the pandemic started, I've been doing webinars with clients for a very long time, actually hosting webinars for them, and looking at what's the difference between Zoom, GoToMeeting, WebEx, and all of those different things. Today, we'll just focus on Zoom because there's a lot to talk about with everything they've offered. Things have come such a long way in the last 15 years. Specifically, the reason I'm talking about Zoom today is we have a lot of experience with Zoom. EVA integrates with Zoom on the back end. So we work with meetings, webinars. We recently got introduced to Zoom event. So I'm very excited about some of those options there. You know, one of the things about, I think, what we're all trying to figure out, especially in the association nonprofit world, is how do we do this? How do we do virtual? How do we do hybrid? How do we do it cost effectively so it doesn't break our bank, but still put out a good product and at the same time not lose our sanity? So looking at these different things and seeing how these are also different to virtual platforms that are out there, we'll address some of those things as well. Okay, let's get started here. So basically, if you haven't already, I put out a poll. If you get a chance, definitely answer some of those questions for me so I can just kind of see who we've got in the room in terms of what you're using, what are you looking at, what's important to you. And we'll revisit this here shortly, but I'll keep that going for a little bit in case you want to answer it a little bit later. Oh, and as I'm clicking away, my presentation is getting away from me. Okay, so let's see here, move that poll away. So Zoom has come up with a new product, which is Zoom Events. They definitely know the value of having a conference, having multiple events in a year, and how do you bring it all together? You're probably using meetings, you're probably using webinars. How do you put it all under one umbrella? So that is why Zoom has come up with this new product called Zoom Events, and it does incorporate meetings and webinars. But before we get into Zoom Events, let's kind of step back and take a look at meetings. Let's take a look at webinars. Just see what's the difference there and which one should you be using for your own virtual events or your hybrid events. I see meetings as something that's more of a smaller scale. Now, I've had clients use it for bigger events as well, but meetings, Zoom meetings is really meant to be for interaction where you're collaborating with others, great for board meetings, breakout sessions, and workshops, something that really drives that engagement and that collaboration. When you're at a conference, it would be when you do like a workshop, anything that you're trying to get communication across the board when you're working together. Webinars is much more like a classroom style, where you've got presentations, you've got speakers, you've got panelists, and then it's perfect for your general sessions, plenaries, but there's not a lot of people that need to engage. They're listening, and if they have questions, they've got the Q&A, they've got chat, if that's something you want to turn on. But great for, again, general session, your plenaries, depending on what you want to call them, your concurrent sessions, if you've got sessions and sessions going on at the same time, and then also for your exhibitor demos. Sometimes exhibitors just want to do, whether it's thought leadership or just a sales demo, a great opportunity to do that without a lot of external factors. Again, is there any right or wrong way to use these? Absolutely not. We actually hosted for one client, they did a huge reception for 5,000 people. It was an award ceremony reception, all virtual, and they did it for 5,000 people. And they were just presenting award winners, and they had videos of, giving a live stream of giving the award to an award recipient, and then having a few words in a video about their work. What was interesting is they decided not to go with the webinar feel. They wanted to do it in meetings. This was 5,000 people. Was it tricky in terms of making sure people were muted or making sure that, they're not tricky video streams that are going on? I had one gentleman that was actually, he was going into the bathroom when he was not a speaker, but an attendee, and that was meetings. And, thankfully, our Zoom techs were kind of watching out for that thing, and issues like that and kind of helping people out and turning that off, kind of a little bit of a interesting happening there. I'm sure we all have little stories like that. But again, like I said, there's really no right and wrong way. There are ways that one can make your life a little easier if you're operating it behind the scenes as a Zoom tech, and also with just kind of how you do registration and setup and everything. Let's get into some of the features here. So with meetings, you definitely have host and co-host. They have all of the administrative controls within the Zoom platform. And then with webinars, you actually have the additional level of panelists. This allows you to easily find people who's speaking. They can have control of sharing the screen, who's muted, who's not, just a little bit more control and you can find them easily. And then you've got the attendee, right? Those are people that are just merely watching, asking questions. And just like you guys are here today, you guys are all listed as attendees. And we are, just to let you know, we are using Zoom webinars for this purpose today. let's see here, video sharing. Now you can do video sharing in both platforms. The only difference is in webinars. It's only the host and panelists that can do that video sharing. And the same thing with the audio sharing. In meetings, everyone can be muted or unmuted. And you have those different controls as the host, whether you want to have people muted or not, but you have a little bit more flexibility of getting that interaction with people, letting them unmute themselves and talk, or you even unmuting them and getting them engaged into the conversation online. Webinar is a little bit different. It's like being in that classroom. I remember going to a college, my first college classes of 500 people in this huge auditorium, and I definitely was not saying a word. Listening to the professor, kind of the same kind of atmosphere, like a keynote. You not necessarily want to interrupt the keynote during their session, their speech, and maybe leave those questions to the end if that's the type of keynote that you have. Again, screen sharing, you can do that with both, and again, definitely determines whether you're an attendee or not on the webinar side. When you get these slides, you'll see this little link here. This will actually take you to Zoom, to their support center. And their support center gives you more details about all of these different things. So if you wanted more information about exactly how does the screen sharing work, you'll have that link for you. Some more about capacity. Now, meetings, I like to personally do meetings with less people, but you can go here. Zoom says you can do 1,000. You can actually add on additional plan options to your Zoom meeting plan, up to 5,000 people. Again, be careful when you do that. It is an additional cost, but that capability is there. And then webinars, you can go anywhere from 5 to 50,000. Just depending on what your license is for them. And then your participant list. Again, this goes back to how much do you want to share. For meetings, you can see that every participant can see who's on. Again, meant to be that collaborative space. But for webinars, it's only visible to host and panelists. Again, it's like being in a huge room, and just the purpose of that session is very different. Now, for email reminders, I love the automated features that Zoom has. Now, for meetings, it's not very automated, right? You set up the meeting, anything that you may do out of whether you use Gmail or Outlook or whatever your mail host or calendar host is. If you have those settings, the reminders can go that way. But in terms of like an email that says, you've seen it all. You actually got an email from us saying, the webinar will be starting in a day, in 1 hour, and this is how you join. This is your unique link. So those email reminders can be, again, those are features that you have access to. You can turn on, change the frequency, but that's only in webinars. My workaround for that has always just been, if I have a meeting that has a large, and I'm using it, it's actually a webinar, but I'm using a meeting, I just do an email campaign out of my CRM to those that are registered with all of the details, because all of those details are available to you that you can send out to your meeting attendees. Just a little bit of extra work, but it's possible. And then chat. So with meetings, you definitely have chat in both meetings and webinars. You also have control over if they get to be saved, who can see them, but that chat feature is there. Meeting reactions. So in meetings, you may see a lot of, you see little happy faces, you see those emoticons. You can do a lot more in terms of that to see meeting reactions. Webinars, like we did earlier when we first started this webinar, you can only raise your hand. Again, the purpose is a little different when you have classroom style on the webinars versus in meetings, which may be a little bit more collaborative, just more communication that's involved there. Now, Q&A, webinar, we do have it here. Play around with the Q&A if you'd like. One of the things I like to do on our webinars is be very casual. I want you to have the opportunity to play around with different buttons and features while we're talking, because when else do you have time to play with it? Typically, you're probably producing an event and you are busy just making sure it's going off well. There's no time to test and play at that time. So definitely take the opportunity now to play around. I don't mind. And then common features for both. If you're familiar with Zoom, you can do all of these things, whether it's meetings or webinars. You can transfer files in the chat. You have the whiteboard access and annotation. You never used annotation. It's a great tool if you have a speaker that has a lot of diagrams, wants to point out things. I highly recommend that if you do the whiteboard or annotation, make sure your speaker or your panelist has used it before, that they know that they've had experience with it. And if they're a first timer, probably do some rehearsals, if not one, do several until they're comfortable and you're comfortable as well, knowing how it works, and also to give people instructions, just to be prepared. Again, polling, we've done polling here. Actually, speaking of polling, why don't we pull that up and see what everybody, where you guys are. So in terms of, let me share these results. So a lot of you are using meetings and a lot of you are using both. That's great. So you probably have a lot of tips to share with one another here. So definitely put in the chat if there's some tips that help you try to figure out if meetings is better than webinar for you. And then Zoom events. Oh, that's exciting that someone is using Zoom events. I'd love to hear all about it and see how it's worked out for you. It is something new. And, the great thing about Zoom is that they're always looking to advance and improve and offer new things. So I have great hopes for Zoom events. And I think this is just a starting point for them. And they've got a great way to go. In terms of what's important for you guys, easy to access. I think we all have learned that the easier our attendees can get onto Zoom or whatever platform it is, that's probably what, 80–90% of our job. It makes it easier for us, especially with speakers as well, right? And easy to set up. I hear you there as well. Here's some of the other responses here. So thank you for sharing that information with us. So you've seen how polls work as an attendee. And then you have live stream. If you haven't tried the Facebook and YouTube live stream, that's an option that you can turn on easily. Again, you want to be careful. If you have, if your registrations are, if you have paid registrations for your conferences or meetings, or it's a board meeting or something that doesn't need to be public, that's probably something you do not want to turn on. But definitely something, if you have something that's promotional, available to the public, definitely a great feature that Zoom has put in there. Registration, both platforms have, both products, Zoom meetings and Zoom webinars, allow you to do registration. There's closed captioning for both, and you can definitely record both to the cloud and to your desktop as well. Now, breakout rooms. There is one group that I work with very closely, and it was really important for them to have networking rooms, but they wanted a webinar style format. So unfortunately, because they wanted breakout rooms, that's only available in meetings, which is great because it gives you a lot of control. You can put people into breakout rooms. They can choose where they want to go. But just be careful, just knowing that in advance of setting up your virtual event or hybrid event, that's a restriction on the webinar side. And yeah, there may be some funky things that you can't do in meetings that you wish you could because it was there available in webinar, especially like the Q&A feature. But sometimes you have to look at what's more important. For the group that I work with for the breakout rooms, they kind of do an early bird, and they do a session that's from 10 to 11. But before that, they offer people an opportunity to join in early and do networking. So we start the breakout rooms. Everyone goes into their rooms. We assign them out. People can also choose them if that's a setting that you want to do. And then once we're ready for the session, we simply close out the breakout rooms, give them notification, and everybody comes back into the main room. Just almost as if you're in person and you're having coffee outside, everybody's networking, and the coffee break is over. So now it's ushering people into the main ballroom for the general session. So what we do there is simply just make sure everyone's muted, ask that everyone turn off their cameras, kind of do the housekeeping thing. Now, this particular group, they've been doing it for over 15 months now. They're into a rhythm. They've got their system in place. So again, great feature, but just keep in mind that's only for meetings. And if you're wanting to look at what the capacity of those meeting rooms, those breakout rooms can be, I can put that link in the materials that we send you afterward. It does vary based on what license you have for Zoom meetings. Now, I was going to show you a few things that, recreate some of these demos, but you know what? I really like looking at what's out there, and there's some great content. I've got a few YouTube videos. Some people watch fun videos at night before they go to bed. I watch techie kind of videos. But here's one that there's two that I like that Zoom's done that kind of gives you a overview of what Zoom events are. So if for any reason you can't hear this video once it starts, just put it in the chat and I will stop it and we'll fix it. But hopefully all works well here.
Zoom Events, all-in-one platform that elevates the virtual and hybrid experience for hosts, panelists, and, of course, attendees. Let's build your Zoom event. First, design your branded hubs. Hubs are where your event content is stored. Build your first event by clicking Create in the event portal. Choose from a single session event, a summit for a series of sessions, or a conference for a large multi-day event. Next, add the event name, dates, and agenda, so guests can learn more about your sessions and speakers. You can also add sponsors and build a networking so attendees can interact in the event lobby. Customize ticketing and registration options, then publish your event. Attendees will receive a unique ticket to join. Need expert assistance to plan your event? Zoom's professional events team can help throughout the entire process. With Zoom, you have everything you need to confidently host your virtual event at every scale. Zoom Events, engaging virtual experiences with real impact.
This is a great overview. Exactly, that's what Zoom Events is just like virtual platforms that you all have probably been evaluating and looking at. They have it's all Zoom. Does it have a lot of bells and whistles? No. But for an organization or a conference or a meeting that doesn't need a lot of that, then this may be a solution for you. It's very much WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get in terms of entering content in, and it populates. It's great to see, you can put your event description, your conference or meeting description, and have your speakers, and just have all of those details. That's all at your fingertips. When I went through this demo with Zoom, I had my sales rep actually walk me through some of these, through the entire product, and it seemed very easy. One of the videos I'm going to show you is they're going to show you how easy it really is. Let's take a look at another video from Zoom. This one takes it a little bit more from the attendee side. Right. Hope they give you a little bit of a preview of what an attendee sees. So Zoom definitely has the feature where you have, just almost as if you're in an in-person event, you have the lobby. You go into a lobby, you've already registered, so you've already checked in, you've got your badge in a way. So you've logged into Zoom, you've got all of your information right there in the lobby in terms of what sessions there are, what speakers, you can make your own schedule. And I also like the feature that they've done with the exhibitors, allowing you to put sponsor information there. You can keep it very basic in terms of giving logo recognition and just a description, or take it even a little bit further where there's a little bit more engagement in terms of allowing the sponsor to put materials up, videos, PDFs for download, and also the chat feature. I definitely like the chat features. There's two types of chat features within Zoom events. It's you can do it in your Zoom meeting or Zoom webinar in the actual session. But they also have the chat feature built into the event lobby, as they call it. It's that first experience that you get into there. When I was looking, there were all sorts of people talking about Zoom events and what they thought of it and how some of their own reviews as well. Wanted to share some of that with you. This video, this guy, he was so calming. He made me feel relaxed. I was like, oh, this is exactly the type of person I'd want working with me on an event. He's with Let's Do Video, and they do all sorts of webinars as well. But this is some virtual events is something that they do from an AV standpoint. He's done a really great job of taking one of Zoom's events, their conference, Zoomtopia. They do an external user group experience, and they used Zoom events for it. So let's listen to him a little bit about just kind of walk us through what you see and what you can expect. This is just one great example. I've got some other examples I'll give you links to so you can actually go and see it yourself. I was going to actually walk you through some of these, but some of these events have already passed. So it's hard to actually get in there and show you all of the features that he's actually going to show you. So I hope this is a helpful video to you, and let's get started here.
So I hope there's a big blue button to register. You don't have to look around for it too much. And this event is free. And I noticed that it says sessions may be streamed to the lobby. That's important. I'm going to explain that later. But for now, let's scroll down. And there's some information, a description about the event as you would expect. And I see 3 tabs here. The first is sessions. So let's take a look. So already you could see this is more than just using Zoom webinars. There's some structure to it. We have an agenda. Let's click on the first session. And there's a video here. Nice. So a little, looks like a 1-minute teaser video. Hey, there's Eric.
I'm coming to you today from a summer set.
Very rude of me to mute Eric, but I just want to show you that script. There's Odette. You could put a little promotional video about the session and a list of the speakers and information about them. And you could see for each session, it looks like, there we go, basically the same thing. So already this is feeling more like an event and less like just an invitation to a webinar. So going back up to the top, so let's scroll down and see what the next tab is. We have our speakers. Now this is great, and I love the fact that this is on the registration page before I've decided whether or not I want to attend. There might be just some amazing speaker that I know this person, and anywhere they speak, I'm gonna go to their event and I can see exactly what session they're in and then decide whether or not I want to register. And the third tab, and this is really an important one, sponsors. In a lot of ways, sponsors make your physical events. You got to give your sponsors love. Same thing with an online event. You really want to promote your sponsors. And we have a list of sponsors, and it looks like when I click on each one, there we go. They can upload their video. Great. So we have our speakers, our sessions, our sponsors. This is everything I want to know about the event. Let's register. So registration was basically just logging into my Zoom account and answering a few questions, and the page is the same, except now the registration button says Join Lobby. One last point before we join the lobby. Let's say I'm registered to multiple Zoom events, or let's say I've lost this link and I want to access this event. How do you find out where all your Zoom events are? Well, since it's Zoom hosting all of them, you could just go to the Zoom website, zoom.us, and under Solution, go to Events. And as long as you're logged in, if you click tickets up here, it has a list of every event you're registered for. I'm only signed up for this one event. So let's finally go ahead and join the lobby. Sorry, I've never taken this long to get to the main course of a demo before. And an app opened on my other screen. Let me maximize it here. And we are in Zoom Events. It is an app, it's not on a website. That's actually not too surprising. Zoom has a preference for using their apps, Zoom Meetings, Zoom Webinars, over a web version of the experience. It just gives them more control over the experience as a whole. So at the top right of the app, we have a countdown for the event. It's nice. And in this main area, there's an image there now, but earlier there was a video. I like the idea of being able to put a video there, just to be able to explain the event and hype it up. One thing that really excites me is, remember that note before we saw that some events may be streamed to the lobby. That means I'm assuming we'll see them right here. Now that, for me, is a no-click experience. I'm not gonna have to click to see every single session. One of the problems I've had with using some of the existing platforms, it's a lot of clicking around on agenda pages to try to find your way into the meeting. I love the idea of it just being here. I also believe I read that they're going to support a lobby chat. That is also something I love. It's something that's missing from online events, a way to interact with people in between sessions. We'll see if we have that enabled for this event. The rest of it is pretty simple, and we want it that way. We don't want something complicated. I've had a lot of complaints that these online event sites, there's so many things to click and so many places to look, people get lost. We want our sessions, our itinerary, and our sponsors. So let's take a look. This is pretty much how it was set up in the registration page. We have our list of sessions, we have our promo video and information on each one, but there's one other thing. When I click this, I was in here before, it turned gold. It put it in my favorites. It gave me a ticket for it or something. And what's really cool is you can see how many other people did it as well. When I unclick it, the number goes down one. You can see some of the sessions I've selected already. And what that does is, let's go back here. Now when we go on itinerary, it only has those sessions. I just made my schedule just by looking through the session list and clicking on the ones that looked interesting to me. And I even clicked some that are at the same time. Maybe I can bounce in between them if they're both interesting. But at least I'm all set up now. I don't have to open my separate calendar. It was a lot easier than it is with a lot of other solutions for events I've used. And finally, the last tab, sponsors. Basically the same thing, a little bit bigger than we saw on the registration page, but we gotta love our sponsors. We can't have an event, can't have a lot of events without them. Okay, so a few initial.
Okay, hopefully that was helpful. I really liked the way he was just very easy to listen to and walk through the different steps. And I agree, you know, just in terms of what he was talking about.
There's a big blue button.
Stop his video. In terms of, we're all looking for that easy experience. You guys also said that in the poll. It's something that's easy to access, simple to navigate. And Zoom has really done that. I think there are a lot of platforms that also do that as well. It's important that you understand your attendees, your speakers, and how they want to interact with your platform. If you're looking for something that's very simple, that offers just this, right? Your event information, your speaker, your sponsor, and in terms of your sponsor is very simple, then you're set. You're good as gold. Now, if you're looking for more branding, more engagement in terms of different like gamification or matchmaking, then you may need to start looking outside of Zoom events or working with a platform that can work with Zoom events. So those are some of the things that you might want to take a look at. I definitely like the clean look, the ability to add images, videos, or not, or keep it very simple. But the navigation, I think, that Zoom has done is really, really great. And now let's get into a little bit about, you may have noticed with this particular video, I started it at a certain point. I didn't show you the whole video, but when you get the link, you'll be able to see all of it. The next video I'm going to show you is actually, here is we're not to the video yet. Here is a sample event. If you click on this event, when you get the presentation, you'll actually go to Zoom. And I'm going to maximize my screen so we can see a few more things here. This is actually on zoomevents.com. And this is how your event would look like with your image, your name, the dates. can't register for this event, so I can't really show you how that looks like. But in terms of like tagging, I know we're talking a lot these days about AI and just being smarter about how we go about providing information and filters for our attendees. Zoom allows you that capability of tagging certain different categories for your event and how public you want it to be as well. So you see here, here's the description, some basic information. Now, if you don't want to customize this and this is good for you, then you're good. If you're wanting to change this, you don't like the way it's laid out, you need more customization, you want to see more of your brand on here, then you're going to probably have to look at a different platform. This would not be for you. This is really meant for the organization or the conference that is just wants something simple, quick, and easy and fast. If you want something a little bit more advanced in terms of its technology and customization and branding, then definitely you should look at other platforms like EVA. But here we go. Let's look at some of the sessions here. Let's click on one. You see it was a pop out and more information about the session and the speaker. Pretty basic. Speaker information here. You get a whole list of speakers. You can filter them. You can read more about them. Again, here, you don't have a lot of other bells and whistles in terms of accessing LinkedIn or contacting them. So if that's important for you, know that going into this, that's not going to be available for you. Let's see here. Let me put some information, very basic. Let's see here. I do want to show you one more. Let's make that small and go back to the presentation. Here's another sample event. I'm actually going to show you, I'm going to show you a video by these guys. This is Stream Geeks. They love all of their educational videos. We actually have used some of their technical videos as training for our own Zoom text. Great content, great speakers. We've got a lot of great energy. This is actually one of their events that they pulled together to showcase what Zoom events is all about. So you can see here, theirs is formatted, because I don't have it maximized, formatted a little bit differently. They've got by day, they got number here. So the other thing is, while I was looking for events, I was able to, once I was logged in, I was able to favorite different types of events that are out there. Now, this is part of Zoom's bigger initiative that they've got going on. So you can do your own proprietary events that's not publicized in any other way other than you want it to be. Or you can do something, what Zoom has done is very similar to what Eventbrite has done in terms of having like a list of a marketplace, an online marketplace of all these different events and videos that are available to you. Let's see here. Let me go to where that marketplace is. There you go. Oh. I will send you a link to that marketplace. I'm not able to, I don't have it pulled up very quickly here, but basically it lists a bunch of different videos you can add to your account and you can watch them later. So that's kind of the experience your attendees would have. They would create that account on Zoom events. So if you're running several different webinars for your organization, and so they're able to add that there and follow and track what they've watched or what they've attended through the Zoom events account page. Now let's move on to, let's see. Let's move on to this video. Now, Stream Geeks, this is one of my favorite companies here. They are going to show us kind of the setting up of it, so the back end of it. Now, a lot of times when we do demos at EVA, the number one question is, how much do I have to, as a meeting planner, have to go in there and enter the information? With EVA, we help you with all of that. But if you wanted more control and wanted to put that information in there, Zoom Events actually does that for you. So let's take a look.
That I've already created the Stream Geeks Hub. I want to show you guys creating an event. Now, when you create an event, it can be a single meeting or a webinar, or it could be an entire summit. And we're gonna look at an entire summit because that allows us to have multiple sessions going on in a single day. When we create an event, I've already kind of gone through and created this, we give the event some basic information. What is the name, the description, is it free, is it paid, what's the time and date, things of that nature. And as you go through, you have the ability to add speakers. So a lot of conferences have speakers, multiple speakers that you can add in here, and you can see what my speaker profile looks like here. You can also create an entire agenda, and when you add agendas, you are items to the agenda, you are basically creating either a meeting or a webinar. So just for example, we'll call this the Zoom Events Test Webinar. We'll say it happens from 2 to 3 o'clock. I'll be the speaker. And we'll make this a meeting. Meetings obviously give you the face-to-face communication with up to 300 people. Webinars is more of like a one video platform for panelists. And you just go through, and there's some advanced options for having a virtual summit lobby. And that's one of those kind of collaboration tools that allows people to network and have a persistent chat room that you can decide when you want that lobby to be open. And I've actually chosen for the lobby to be open for 10 days before the event starts, which would be now, honestly. And then you've got some other options for setting up event security. Then you can set up tickets, and again, those tickets can be paid or free, and they can restrict access to various different portions of the meetings and sessions that you're recording. So it's really cool stuff. You can even have a confirmation email, and get this, that I've already created.
So just wanted to show you just a little bit about how he goes about setting that up. He does a really great job for that. Again, you'll get a link to this so you can watch the full video if you'd like. Let's see here. We do have a question here. It is, do you have to incorporate a Zoom webinar or Zoom meeting when using Zoom events? And yes, you do. And that's a little bit of a tricky catch. You'll have to ask, and I'll get to that when we talk a little bit about the pricing, how they do the pricing for Zoom events. But yes, the answer is yes. But let's go into, so hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight into what Zoom events is, Zoom webinar, Zoom meetings, Zoom events. So Zoom events is your hub for all things meetings and webinars, whether you wanted to do a series or a conference summit style. And then also give you a little bit of example of what the attendee sees, and then what you as an administrator, as the planner, what you've got to do on the back end. Now here is the pricing. So this goes back to the question we just received. So the pricing here, again, I'll put a link here for you. You guys can go to Zoom, and this is where they have the pricing. Now there's two things I want to point out to you. When I went through the demo with Zoom, this price that they have, they don't do it, you can't just get 1 month or 2 months. You have to do an entire annual plan. So even though you may be able to pay by month, you are obligated for a 1-year contract. Now that was with my meeting with them about 2 months ago. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this, because this rate definitely looks great, but you need to add it up for an entire year. In addition, so that just gives you the event, kind of that umbrella, right? It gives you that staging place of where all the events can go to. Now, for every meeting, for every webinar, you have to use a license. So you have to purchase those licenses, whichever you want to use, meetings, webinars, or both. So at any given time. So if you're running one keynote session and you're using a webinar, that would be one webinar license for however many people you need it for. If you are running 3 concurrent sessions that are happening at the same time, You will need to have 3 different licenses, whether that's Zoom webinar or Zoom meeting, that's up to you. But just be cognizant that that is something that's an additional cost that you're going to come across. And that adds up as well. Now, those don't necessarily have to be the annual license. You can do that based on whatever kind of plan you want to get with Zoom. But keep in mind, you won't be able to plan, program, set up Zoom events unless those licenses are activated. So if you're planning 6 months in advance and you want to put those sessions in, you have to have those licenses activated. So very tricky, but something definitely to keep in mind. Let's see here. All right. Well, before we go on to that slide, I hope this was helpful, that you can see the differences between the different products that Zoom has. Now, if you're looking for something, a platform that allows you to do single sign-on, AMS CRM integration, give you more detailed analytics than, you know, just who registered and who attended. If you're actually wanting to have that information, pull in your donor information, your member information, board of director information, all of those demographics or details that sits in your CRM or AMS, you're going to need to look at a more robust system. But know that Zoom Events is a great product out there if you're looking for something simple. A lot of people ask, well, why would you do a webinar when you have a virtual platform that kind of competes with it? We understand that not every platform is perfect for everyone. There's a right fit for you, and you've got to find where your sweet spot is. You got to take a look at cost, the capabilities of each one, also your own capacity. How much time do you have to get to know a product, to set it up, or do you get that additional assistance? So all of those factors come into play. We're just glad to be able to show you that this is one option that you can take a look at. But if you are looking for something a little bit more sophisticated and technical, we're happy to talk with you about that. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Happy to help you guys go through the search process with you. We also have, we don't get any commissions from Zoom, but we do have a great representative that helps us with any questions that we have and points us to the right place within Zoom to get that technical assistance, which is great for being for the level that we work with Zoom at, the great partnership that we have with them and being able to tap into their resources. So I hope this has been helpful for you all. I'd love to hear from you either post-session, either through social media or through email. We'll definitely get this recording and details out to you. Hope that you can join us for our next session. It is going to be a little bit more on the technical side. I actually have a technical expert joining me from iPlusify who works with Salesforce and all things technical in the association and nonprofit realm. This is single sign-on for event registration platforms, why it's important and how to do it easily and securely. So hopefully you can join us next week at 1 o'clock, same time as today. We'll make sure you get that registration link and hope you can join us. Again, thank you very much for joining us. We love sharing this information. Hope it was helpful and hope that you can share it out with other people. Thanks again for joining us.